I believe we are live.
I believe I can fly.
So Joe Biden just picked his VP.
Who is it?
Damn, you didn't go on Twitter?
Nah,
Oh,
I
you got me.
obviously know
I'm a
who it is.
sucker. I'm slow as hell.
They had like Hot 97. The DJs were talking about it. I mean, it's everywhere, and it's frustrating for people who are, I guess, woke, and even more frustrating. I don't, it's I don't know. I guess tell me your thoughts, and then I'll just say something dumb afterwards.
You're hilarious. Um, it literally the worst possible pick he could have made. Like literally the worst possible pick he could have made. Um, she brings absolutely nothing to the ticket. Like she doesn't help him anywhere. There's not a single state now. Like California, he was already going to win by a mile and a half.
Hmm.
So like, why would you pick somebody who, in many ways, is a political liability? I think she's a political liability. So in terms of like the politics of it, it's just it's just stupid. Like I could tell you what they were thinking. Here's what they were thinking. She's the establishment's favorite choice. So we know she's going to serve the establishment. We know that ideologically she's going to be in favor of the status quo. She's
Hmm.
going to be in favor of the corporations continuing to rule us and determine what policies are. So they were thinking, oh, she's the perfect candidate. She's the perfect VP choice for the moneyed interests, but also, hey, she branded herself as being on the left for a while, and she's also a black woman, so that'll be enough to make the left go, oh, okay, cool, because she's a black woman and because she pretended like she embraced the label progressive for a while.
Yeah.
So that's what they were thinking. But in reality, she's a pick that people on the left, the real left, hate, and people on the right obviously hate her. And also, putting aside the politics of it, the policies that she's basically been pushing her entire career as a politician, and before when she was the Attorney General of California. I mean, it's terrible. So here's some of the stuff that she is in favor of. She was against body cameras on cops. She refused to prosecute Steve Mnuchin, the Goldman Sachs guy who's now the Treasury Secretary, when Steve Mnuchin was the head of One West Bank in California, and he was illegally and early foreclosing on like senior citizens and kicking them out of their houses during the Great Recession. Her own office said you should prosecute him, and she didn't. And come to find out that they may have had a situation where they were like donating to her campaign.
Really?
Yes, and then you have the one that to me is like the worst is that she was on camera. It was either 2012 or 2014. She was running for um she was running for re-election or election then, I'm not sure. But her Republican opponent came out in favor of legalizing marijuana,
Yeah,
and
I
she
remember this one.
laughed. When she was asked about if she would support legalizing marijuana, she laughed. She laughed and was basically like, of course not. It was like an of course not moment. And then just to go through the other things real quick, she defended California's three strikes laws, which puts people in prison for life for crimes where they shouldn't be in there. She criminalized truancy. Truancy is like if the kid's missing class, she wanted to criminally punish the parents to like force the kids to go to class. She
Jesus.
she uh she fought to keep sex work illegal. There were some sex workers who were, trying to get her to legalize it or at least like take a hands-off approach. And she was in favor of keeping it illegal. She supports civil asset forfeiture, which is basically when the cops can legally rob you. And then another one of the worst is that she actually fought to keep an innocent person locked up on a technicality. Like there was evidence that was brought to her of like this guy is actually innocent and like his thing is should be overturned. And she tried to force him to stay locked up, and her argument was like, oh, he didn't fill out like the proper paperwork or whatever, so like keep this innocent guy behind bars. So yeah, she's just, I mean, listen, plain and simple, she's a corporate Democrat and she's not on the left, and she's unfortunately a continuation of the status quo. But now they have the ability to call all of the critiques of her from people like me sexist and racist. So, you know, I'm sexist and racist for substantively disagreeing with Kamala Harris and saying that this is a terrible pick, you know?
Yeah, one thing that's so awesome about you and your platform and a lot of other progressive hosts that like don't, you know, cater to anybody. It's almost just like you guys don't give a fuck what they say, you know, and like and a lot of that won't even make its way to mainstream media, which is sad, you know, that conversation of like people who criticize her are seen as like an outcast when it needs to be brought up, you know, because it's gonna get brought up by Trump. And like to go back to what you said with the Steve Mnuchin thing, if he was really like contributing to her campaign and has some like dirt on her, he's gonna be the first motherfucker to expose that shit once, you know, they really get down to like some debates and like need some you know ammunition on her. So like it's only the tip of the iceberg. Like they started doing research on her when she was becoming pretty popular to become president. Now she's second in charge. You don't think they're going to find and start digging a little bit deeper into stories and bringing stuff to fruition a little bit more than they did in the past, which she couldn't even overcome then. So it's like, it makes you scratch your head. And I really had to scratch my head when I actually did that. How Biden, it doesn't surprise me, like tone deaf the guy could be to pick someone, you know, and it's almost just like, I feel like they picked her because she's like the celebrity-esque type candidate, you know, like she's just, in his eyes, the most popular among like kids and millennials and like all these things, K-Hive or whatever her little shit thing is. And there's so much like baggage that comes with her that it just makes him such an easy target when like all we're trying to do is not have an easy target. Like pick somebody who's like, I asked you and I was like looking at who other potential candidates could be. And I was like, oh, I've heard of her. I don't really know much about her, this and that. Like pick someone like that who doesn't have all this crazy, like bad records to go off of. It didn't surprise me, but it's just like, it's just, they're trying to do everything they possibly can, the Democratic Party, to make this a Hillary part 2.
Yeah, that's actually what it feels like. It feels like when Hillary picked Tim Kaine, she thought it was like this strategically brilliant thing to get the world's most boring white guy who's also a centrist. And it's like, it was actually the dumbest possible pick you could have made. You needed somebody on the left. If she picked Bernie as VP, she would have won for sure, without a doubt. Mm-hmm. And this is effectively the same thing. This is Tim Kaine as a black woman, basically. And it's just not like, this is not the way to go about it. The thing is, I don't think, Corin, that Trump and them are going to have good arguments against Kamala, because I've already seen the stuff that they're going with, and they're doing the same old, like, Kamala's so far left. Ooh. And it's the same stupid, like they say that about Biden now too, like Biden's far left. Ooh. And it's like, no, that's not true. But the problem is, like, her record is terrible and she's not going to change anything. And like, that's all we need at a time like right now. I mean, look at what's going on in this country, man, between the pandemic and the 20% real unemployment rate, and everything's like falling apart. And she's not somebody who's really going to meet the moment, in the sense that she would ever, like, if she becomes president, is she going to like go full FDR? No, she's going to be like a status quo defender. And it's going to be tweaks around the edges. And then also, she's only going to try to go for half measures. And then the Republicans are going to obstruct her completely. So even the half measure will be watered down. And this is basically like guaranteeing, 4 to 8 more years of Obama-esque rule. Like, that's what this is. This is the Democratic Party doubling down and tripling down on the Bill Clinton school of thought, which then became the Hillary Clinton one and was Obama's. And now it's going to be Biden and Harris. And it's basically nothing but a giant middle finger to the left, because it's like, we're embracing neoliberal corporatism. We're going to, basically keep the system functioning as is. And hey, at least we're not Trump. Like, that's their whole thing, is like, at least we're not Trump. And it's like, ugh. At this late date, that's what we're going with. We're going with at least we're not Trump.
You know what? And maybe I'm on the wrong side of things because, I tend to, I listen to you, I listen to people who, keep it real, keep it 100, and you call people out for their flaws, and and like, everyone's not perfect, and I see other people on the other side of it that like are just so happy with the pick and act like she has done no wrong and she's just amazing, candidate.
I saw a tweet just real quick. Let me jump in. I saw a tweet that said, "You guys, Uncle Joe and Auntie Kamala," and I like died inside. It was like in all caps, like so excited. I was like, you're not even excited. You're just pretending to be excited.
And that's what frustrates me the most, because it's just like, if you turn a blind eye to like all the shit that's wrong with her, like we'll never have any change, and it's
that's
like,
right.
It's, I want to get behind the ticket, but it's not encouraging. It's not like something that I like I mean, I love Bernie, and I love like who's the one from St. Louis that Cori Bush. Like, they just seem so passionate, they seem so genuine, and they don't seem like they have like this Instagram filter on them that everything is perfect, and they're like this like like phony politician. And that's what Biden and Kamala Harris to me are. And it's literally like they want to pull in Bernie supporters, but they're doing everything. Like, I guess my question to you is like, does it even matter that he picked her? Because like,
I think it does actually. I think in most instances it wouldn't matter who he picks, because I'm expecting a bad pick, and it's like, just give me regular bad.
Yeah.
But I think he actually picked like the worst possible pick, in that not only does she add nothing substantively on policy, but even politically, it's going to play out bad, in the sense that she's an easy target, and the right is going to have a field day, and they're really going to rally around. Like, the right has honestly had trouble going after Biden in the same kind of way they went after Hillary, because Biden is just not as, people don't have that visceral hatred of Biden like they did of Hillary.
Yeah.
But people do have that visceral hatred of Kamala. Like, they do. So now you just managed to pick somebody who actually puts back up in the air a lot of states that were kind of locked up, I think. So I just think it was across the board a bad choice. And I hate that, like, Bernie was, don't get me wrong. Listen, I don't expect Bernie to be like, bad choice. Like, I don't expect him to say that. But you could say nothing, or you could just give like the most tepid endorsement ever of like, I'll be voting for Kamala and Joe in 2020 or something. But he did this thing where it was just like, he was being a cuck, and he was like lying to us and talking about like, oh, she wants to, he didn't say she's for Medicare for all, but he was like, oh, she wants to expand healthcare. She wants to get to universal healthcare. And it's like, that's not even true. Like, that's not true. She doesn't care about these things. She doesn't care about that stuff. Kamala Harris cares about becoming Vice President Kamala Harris and President Kamala Harris. That's what she cares about.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree with you there. It was funny to me to see a lot of like, the Elizabeth Warren and then Andrew Yang. I retweeted a thing like, they like sold out to Joe Biden, and then they're still getting shitted on.
They got Dickie McGeezax off of that. Elizabeth Warren, especially, who basically played the role of spoiler against Bernie, where she stayed in the race even though she had no chance, and she kind of siphoned votes from him, which helped Joe massively. And still, after all that, and doing fundraising events with Joe, like, Elizabeth Warren went hard to try to get that VP spot. And after embarrassing herself, she still ends up getting snubbed. And it's like, well, what did you expect? They don't like you. They don't like you. And no, it doesn't matter how often you bend the knee, they don't like you. And I'd say the same thing to Bernie. They don't like you either, bro.
Yeah.
But I get it. Like, in Bernie's mind, he really thinks like, oh my God, Trump is the worst evil ever. And so I will do the thing where I argue for the lesser evil. But in the process of doing that, the thing that I'm just so sick of is I'm sick of people lying to me about it. Like, don't say, if you try to make an affirmative case, shut up. I hate you. If you just try to hit me with like a here's why we have to, then okay, I could listen. You know what I mean? But like, people are just lying across the board, trying to get people to fall in line. And this is one of those picks where it's like, it's going to have the opposite effect. I know so many people who had like wavered and Like they were like, no, I'm never voting for Joe. And then I saw recently within the past like month or two, you saw people slowly come around and they were like, all right, look, if I got to do it, I got to do it. But all those people now, a lot of them, Joe just lost them because he did like the single worst pick where we know so much about her terrible record that a lot of those people are going to say, hell no, I'm not going to do it now. Now I'll stay home.
Yeah. I'm just so fascinated by that, like the fact that he's our other option, and it's like, like I still can't wrap my brain around that because like as smart as the guy probably is, he doesn't come across that smart when he's doing his interviews. And like the way that like people say that he's just like his mind is deteriorating, it like every day it legit seems like it's getting worse and worse and worse. And it's like, oh, I'm almost like thinking to myself, like, did he even have a say in who his vice president was going to be? Or it's just like, it's almost like he doesn't even know what's going on. And it's like that Weekend at Bernie's thing. It's like he's just getting propped up and someone's like holding him up behind his chair for his interviews. And then like once he's done and the camera goes, like he just plops back down. So it's just, we're in a very scary place right now. And I don't think she helps. I don't think she brings people together. Like I saw some celebrities like excited about it. And
yeah,
like,
but see, Corin, that's the audience. The audience is the celebrities. The audience are is everything good? You good?
Yeah, I got to put music on for my daughter.
Oh, okay. The audience are them. Like that's who they're going for. That's who they're appealing to. Like that's who the Democratic Party is trying to be now. They're trying to be the party of like wealthy suburbanites and Hollywood types. And so who gets left behind in that situation? The multiracial working class. Like working class people are left behind and they're propping up like the kinds of people who would appeal to wealthy suburbanites and would appeal to the Hollywood types. Like, yeah, I saw Chrissy Teigen or whatever her name is. Like, she was like, oh my God, I can't wait to vote for this. And it's like, mission accomplished. Those are the people that you want, right?
100%. And I mean, she's a whole nother topic because I mean, I don't know if you want to get into it, but like Molly's taken me down a whole rabbit hole of like this whole nother scandal now that like I've seen with other people saying about like child sex trafficking and how like she had deleted like a whole bunch of tweets. And like I was trying to defend her and like celebrities saying like, you never know, like she could have been watching, like I used an example, I was like, she could have been watching like American Idol and tweeted something about American Idol, and then like 10 years later something comes out about American Idol and then everybody tries to pick her apart for saying something about American Idol. Like, so like she got pulled into like this whole scandal and like deleted tweets and all these things. So I don't know. I'm just not like one to think that there's this whole big conspiracy theories of like everything going around. And Molly's like sort of diving into this realm of like, there's a lot other bigger shit going on with potentially like high powered people that is way above what we even think is going on in real world.
I mean, listen, with the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, it's obvious that this stuff is real. Like there are very wealthy, powerful, famous people who are into kinky stuff, and there are people who kind of like run a business out of it. Like that's what Jeffrey Epstein was. He was like a billionaire pedophile pimp who was like pimping out young girls. And I mean, if you watch that Netflix documentary, they know for sure that that's what he was. So it exists. It's just a matter of we got to fill in the details. Who's doing what? How much are they involved? And when you talk about somebody like Bill Clinton, for example, guilty. You talk about somebody like Alan Dershowitz, for example, guilty.
But like they pull Bill Gates. Like Bill Gates is a big talking point now.
Yeah, but see, now this is the problem, is because I think that a lot of the like the QAnon stuff, which is the conspiracy stuff, I think that they get ridiculous, and I think that sometimes people go too far and they connect too many dots and they act like something's there when it's not. And that's what I think the Chrissy Teigen thing is. It's like I'm just annoyed by her, but I don't think she's like a pedophile, whatever. Like she's just annoying. She's not doing that. Like I get it. She deleted weird tweets, but people like listen. Back in the day, Twitter, you could just joke around about anything. And I'm not surprised. There are a bunch of celebrities that had like pedophile jokes and stuff, but it was like I don't think it was like secret code for having sex with kids or whatever, because why would you even speak in secret code about having sex with kids? If you're a creeper who's doing that, just don't say shit about it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, like, I get weird about things when like I don't think Bill Gates is doing anything, but like I raise a red flag when he's so, what's the word, humanitarianism or whatever. Like
When
you
he's
just
so humanitarian, yeah,
like when you're giving back so much and doing
it's like, what
so
are you
much
covering
good,
up for?
yeah, that's why it's like I almost fuck with Jeff Bezos, and like he might just be the most normal guy ever because he's just like, I'm just keeping my money. Like I'm not gonna do shit with
Does
this.
he? I'm sure he does some philanthropy stuff.
Probably, but like not to any extent that like Bill Gates is doing. Like that dude is like building forests and shit for motherfucker. Like Ellen's
that's
doing weird shit with monkeys and gorillas in like Africa, and then it comes out that she's this big bitch. Like,
and
that's not adding up.
Didn't like Jerry Sandusky have like a foundation for kids or something?
Yes, he had like a kid foundation. Like,
see, now this is why I've always made the argument that you don't want your kids to be around anybody who wants to be around them. Like, funny enough, the perfect babysitter is me, because people know I don't want to see their kids. Like, I'm not really interested in it. So you know that if you give me your kids, like your kid's gonna be protected. Like there's no weird shit going on. But if somebody is like really thirsty to see your kids, it's sort of like you kind of go to the bottom of the list for babysitting because you're too into this.
Yeah. It's so right. And that's the only thing like where my mind goes is like when someone's doing shit too extra, I'm almost like something's off about that, and like people will be like, no, what, he's doing so much good for the community and he's like providing this. That's why it's like, Rogan loved those two guys who talked about the prison reform and they're taking guys off death row and shit. But I was like, I don't think their heart's in the right place, but they are doing good things and getting people out of their prison sentences. But
what do you think? One of them committed a crime and got away with it or something?
No, I just think they see that prison reform system as an opportunity to become like filthy rich off of it. And yes, they're gonna get some people released from prison.
We shouldn't speculate though, because we really don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't think they're making a crazy amount of money, and I think what they're doing is important. The Innocence Project, like to get people out of prison who are there wrongfully. But what this reminded me of was like when the anti-gay dudes are actually secretly gay.
Yeah,
how they're like overcompensating or what's his face. Caitlyn Jenner, who was formerly Bruce Jenner, he was like, when he was he was the most masculine person ever, and like that was all. And he'll admit it. He was like, he was like
growing his nails out, wearing dresses.
I was overcompensating.
Yeah,
I was overcompensating because I felt the real me. I felt alive and right when I was like put on my mom's dress. Yeah. So that's the real me. So there was this overcompensation where she was trying to get that out of her mind. Like, no, I'm going to be really masculine. Yeah, it's like when the Christian pastor dudes like Ted Haggard, he was caught with crystal meth and a gay hooker. And the entire time he was, preaching like family values. And it's like, you were just with a gay hooker, bro.
It's the age old, like, whenever you see like a huge monster truck with like an exhaust that's like making the biggest noise in the world. And
little
it's like
ass dick. Tiny ass meat, bro. Just tiny.
That's why, my shit's not packing, but I was driving like a purple Altima or a Sentra for like mad long, and I was just proud of that shit because I didn't give a fuck. So like, maybe that's how I got Molly, because she like looked at my car and was like, "Damn, he's okay to drive like some purple ass Sentra shit."
He's probably got a big ass dick.
He was wrong. No, but like I got mad respect for people that will just like not give a fuck about whatever and they just do their shit.
Yeah. I mean, I had let's see, going through my car history now. The Chevy Blazer, it was like 1999 Chevy Blazer. Nice. Yeah, that one was nice. Then I had the Cavalier forever. The Cavalier. I had that for. Then I had the Mustang.
The Silver, I remember when you got that.
That I was excited about, and then since then, a Subaru Legacy.
Yeah, Subarus are like those are super durable cars. I know, like that's probably I think like the number one car in Colorado. It's got to be. It's
Well,
just
it's
durable.
funny.
You could throw like 8 bikes on top of that shit and still come
I
off
knew
as
I
like
was
a
getting
hipster.
old. I knew I was getting old when I got that car because I was thinking like I need to be practical and get an all-wheel drive vehicle.
Yeah,
And then I got it. I was like, I'm happy I got an all-wheel drive vehicle
that's
for
what I'm
like
saying. I
those
bought a
few
pair of
times
New
when it
Balances,
snows.
and like they were comfy, and I was like, I'm just looking for comfort now. Like I'm just looking for.
Ultimate dad shoe is the New Balance.
They were a nice pair. I actually got love from like one guy at like I went to I think it was the Converse outlet store, and the guy working there was like, "Yo, what are those?" And it sort of like made me feel okay that I was rocking them.
Yeah, you gotta send me them. I want to see what they look like.
And I got Crocs too. I'm okay with Crocs. I was at like
I never understood Crocs, bro. They're just like rubber shoes,
I
right?
think they're like rubber and they're not like the comfiest, but they're comfy enough. But I'm almost intrigued by the little like bedazzle part in the front of the sandal. I might start buying some little logos or emblems to put in the front of my flip flops, so nobody judge me there. I
The
think it could
Crocs
be cool.
cannot be comfortable. They're just rubber.
But they have like a lot of rubber, so it's almost just like if you're standing on a like a layer of rubber, it's comfy. It's like where do they have this? When I like worked at the ice cream store, the floor would be like hard, and then one day they put like this like padded shit down, and I was like, wow, this makes a big difference on my leg. So over time, if you rock them, they're gonna be a lot different than if you wear like some just standard platform type shoes type of thing.
I'm sort of amazed though that like somebody came up with the idea for Crocs and it was just like, what if I made a rubber shoe? And then they made them and they called them Crocs and then they started selling like crazy. Like that seems like some shit that somebody could have thought of in the year 1900.
I'm amazed when someone is like, when there's all these recyclable companies now that like, they're like, these shoes are made out of like the bottom of the ocean, like debris. And I'm like, how the fuck is that even possible? Like, how is that possible? How can you, like, how does, like, can you turn all that shit into a sneaker? I don't get it.
I mean,
There's some smart ass people out there.
You have you heard about the giant garbage patch that we have in the middle of the ocean?
Yeah, isn't there like just yeah.
It's like the size of Texas or something, or it
That
might even
big?
be. It's OD big, and it's just like all this plastic stuff that's not biodegradable, so it just like stays like that, and it's just sitting in the middle of the ocean. And like I watched a documentary on this once, and apparently the ocean is just packed full of plastic. Like if you just take like a cup of water out of the ocean and look at it, like they look at it through a microscope and they're like, there's a lot of plastic in this. And so I think that there's so much crap out there that it's almost kind of easy to like take the plastic or whatever's there and then turn it into stuff, you know? And you're actually doing the environment a favor when you do that too, or else it would just sit there and like
Oh yeah,
kill the
100%.
wildlife.
If you go to like third world countries, I don't think Dominican Republic's a third world country, but their water and like sometimes you'd be driving past something and there's just like layers of shit. And it's wild because I mean I don't know how all that stuff gets there, but I try to do my part whenever I like have a 6 pack of soda or something like that. I'll cut up the little things
I
so it
love how
doesn't
we
like
have those little
and
things that make us feel good, like we're doing something. Like, oh, I got to protect the fish. Cut, 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 cut,
that's what I'm
cut,
saying.
cut.
Like I don't know, like I recycle my stuff, so I don't know how that would ultimately even end up in like the ocean and be around like a goose's neck or something like that. But like you see those videos of like a like something or geese or goose with like the plastic thing around their neck and someone trying to save it. You're like, all right, I'll do my part and I'll slice this shit up. It takes me an extra second.
When you mentioned the Dominican Republic, when you were there, did you have any of the water or no?
Like just like if I
Like
was
the
at a
tap
restaurant.
water.
Um no, I think like there in Colombia we just had like bottled water because it was so
Okay.
cheap.
I was gonna say, did they tell you not to drink it when you went there?
Yeah, I think they say like when you're showering and stuff, don't drink it. But like it's impossible. Even when you're like brushing your teeth, how do you not like swallowing some water or something like that. And that's probably how like my brother's gotten really sick before. I've gotten really sick before.
From when you were there?
Yeah. He was like in the hospital because he was like super dehydrated or had like food poisoning or something. Um it's just a different lifestyle. I feel like kids and people get brought up there more. Like when there's a fly on my arm here, I like freak out and I like jump off my chair. But out there's like flies flying around people's faces and shit like that. It's just a whole nother way of being raised that we don't experience here because we're so like sheltered.
Well, yeah, you're not used to drinking that water, eating that kind of food, and so your body's not like prepared for it. So when you have it, your body's like, whoa, what is going on here? And you're introducing, new kinds of like gut bacteria and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's why they say if you travel to foreign countries, you probably should avoid drinking the water because it's going to impact you. Like if you drink they say in Mexico, if you have it in Mexico,
It's
you're
probably
going
a wrap.
to, like, yeah, you'll be shitting for a long time.
Mix that with like some banging ass tacos and you're done for like the whole trips.
Although you know me, I have a stomach of steel.
You got a strong stomach. Mine's super weak. And that's why I don't think I ever could put on weight because I think I have some type of like disease or something where I can't like get bigger because whatever I eat goes straight. Like people are like, nah, it's not possible, but I'll eat something and it legit goes straight through me.
I know.
Like, there must be nothing on my inside.
One time it happened within like 3 hours. I was like, how's that even possible?
Exactly. I told you, I was like, dog, I'm gonna be in the bathroom in like 3 hours. You're like, nah, it'll take like tomorrow. And then
I was like, you just ate Taco Bell or Del Taco or whatever it was. Like, you're not gonna, it can't go through you that fast. And then it did.
There's I don't know what it is, but it's worked into my favor because I've never really gotten too big. But I don't know. Recently I started eating healthier and I'm feeling better. I've been crushing Chipotle. Like I wish.
That's semi-healthier. We'll give you semi-healthier.
I mean, I feel like Chipotle's good. It's just white rice and chicken. Like if there's got to be someone who listens who works at Chipotle that could bless me with like some free burrito bowls or something like that.
I love when you troll Twitter looking for like these companies to hook you up. You got one of them responded to you the other day. Oh, it was Chipotle. Yeah. That's so funny.
I mean, I spend enough money there. At least hit me off with something. Like my dentist office will send me a birthday card and like say some shit. Like I would prefer if Chipotle or somebody did something like that. Like if I was on your level, I'd be plugging Chipotle every day. And then someone eventually would be like, "Yo, bless this dude." And then
but it's messed up though because we've talked about this before. It's the people who don't need anything that get the free stuff, and then the people who need the free stuff are not getting it. What?
If like Christy Teigen or something like that tweeted out Chipotle, she'd get hit off with like free Chipotle for a year.
Probably for life.
For life.
I could definitely see that.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the wealthy, famous people who just get the free stuff, and then you got somebody who's like a minimum wage worker and they got to pay full price, and it's just like that's not cool.
Yep. Yeah. That's how freaking society works. And
it's funny. Yeah, it's funny how like influence is currency. Like if that's really weird how that works.
It sucks.
And I'm like the only person who makes a point
doesn't take advantage of that shit.
Because I feel like it's wrong. I wouldn't want to like use the fact that a bunch of people like the show. I wouldn't want to use that against people to then push products that like I might not even necessarily like just because that company was like trying to give me some free stuff.
Yeah.
But that's like all of YouTube and so many other fields. Like you got all these makeup girls who get like free stuff and then they push it. Like I got no problem with people advertising for something that they really like, you know, but you get the sense that so many of these deals that so many of these influencers have, it's just like whatever company reaches out to them and gives them some stuff is like, fine, I'll hawk your stuff relentlessly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people sell out for that shit, but like, I think we're at a point now where there's a lot of like that pyramid scheme stuff going on because that's just the way for someone to make a sale is to someone they know, you know? So it's like they trust them. But at the end of the day, they're just getting you to buy whatever the fuck they're selling. Like Molly got caught up in this, not caught up in this shit. But like they were like these kid books, and they were actually really cool. But I was trying to argue with her, like, yeah, like your cousin or someone's asking you to like set up this book club thing ultimately because she gets some bread off of you doing it. Like once you open your whole network of people to buy some books, then she's probably getting a cut of that. And she was like, yeah, but like, I think the books are actually good. Like she saw some value in the actual product she was selling. Whereas sometimes to your point, all I've seen is like shampoos and weary like makeup shit or like some dietary shit that like at the end of the day, you're just trying to cut corners on something that we all know how to defeat that problem is just work out or shower and put your face under some warm water. Like there's no quick fix to like something that is a longer process, you know?
Yeah, but tell me the thing about the pyramid scheme thing.
I don't even think it's a pyramid. Like she'll probably get mad at this point for
Oh,
me.
all right, then you could drop it. But I think that there were many instances of people trying to get me on that too. I feel like in high school they're big. Like somebody be like, I work for this company, where what you do is you get other people to work for the company. And it's like,
well, people take advantage of people who are nice. Like I've got hit up by friends and it's like, you know, hey man, everything looks great. You doing well, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, what's up, man? How you been? Like haven't spoken to you since the basketball league or whatever. And it's like, I'm good. I'm actually just started recently invested in this thing and I'm like, oh fuck. And then it's like I gotta like carefully say I'm not interested in whatever the hell you're doing. But like then I still don't want to hurt somebody's feelings.
remember when there was somebody from high school who reached out to you to try to get to me?
Yeah.
Because they wanted to
Like
advertise on my show, and then come to find out they worked for like a financial company. And it was like some one of the major ones too,
Yeah.
right? Wasn't it one of the major ones?
Yeah, I don't
It
even
was
remember
like,
what it was.
I work for Morgan Stanley, and I'd like to. And you were like, how little do you know about Kyle?
Yeah.
Like he's probably doing a segment right now, ripping your company that you work for. You want to advertise with that guy?
Oh, yeah. I mean that.
And then he got mad at you, right? When you basically were like, you were sort of like, he's probably not going to go for it, bro. And then he got like mad at you, and you showed me the conversation. You were like, what is wrong with this dude?
But everything's corrupt at the end of the day, man. Like that's what we were saying last week. Like everything's corrupt, and just a matter of like, I don't know, people staying true to their morals. Like that's why, you know, Bernie's awesome, but like, I don't know, people sell out, and people are desperate. And they got to do shit and they got to try and sell shit and you ruin relationships and you ruin friendships and shit becomes awkward. But like at the end of the day, you got to keep it real with people and tell them like, no, I'm not interested in your fucking like neck brace product that's going to like change the world or something like that.
Wasn't there a story of like an NFL player who was like convinced to do these ridiculous investments? Do you remember that? Or am I like imagining that?
I know there's a lot of like basketball players that like invest in like real estate and they get got because they just invest their money in these properties that end up, I think, like nothing ever happens to them. Like real estate is a big thing that athletes get caught up in.
Or probably like sketchy financial advisors who really are just like jacking their money. Like you never, like any smooth talking person involved with like money who wants to handle your money, it's like you're not really providing any value at all. You're just a smooth talker who's trying to get me to believe that I could get like whatever 12% returns on my money, you know, year over year. And it's like, this is nonsense. There's so many times that people from the bank have tried to like reach out to me and be like, we could do investments and
I mean,
like,
yeah, there's certain lingo that makes it like it's compelling, like it all sounds good, but at the end of the day, like, and I'll be real, like I don't know all my financial shit. Like I rely on Molly for a lot of that stuff because it's like there's a lot you have to know. Like there's a lot that goes into it, and you got to do a lot of research. You got to like know about banking shit, and like at the end of the day, if there's someone who comes across that they know all that information, you trust them.
Yeah, but they're full of it. These people are full of it. Like the way that people need to think about it is like, think about how Trump got in the White House. Like he's just BSing the whole time. Like the dude who's the financial advisor, he could have just been BSing everybody the entire time. Yeah. You know, like he just acting like he knows what he's talking about. When it comes to investments, listen, this is the truth. And people like to convince themselves that this isn't the case, but it's Corin, it's the casino. That's what the stock market is. It's the casino. You're gambling.
I don't know anything about the stock markets, but like
you know that when you go to the casino, oh, I could just lose all this. Like that's a distinct possibility. Yeah, I might. There are going to be times where I walk out and I'm up $300, but there are going to be times where I lose $300.
Yeah.
And so, but when you have somebody wearing a suit and tie who's like a financial advisor and he's telling you about all the investments to make sure you make money, it's like, no, at the end of the day, that is 100% you're rolling the dice. You're gambling. And you could say, oh, I'm only going to go for these like blue chip stocks. And it's like, they could still go belly up in the long run, man. If you're somebody who invested in Sears or Macy's in like the 1980s, it's like, well, guess what? Now the world totally changed, and that stock is worth Dickie McGee's axe. Mm-hmm. You know, so there's no such thing as a sure thing, especially when it comes to, unless you have insider information, in which case that's illegal. They can't tell you like, oh, you know, if you have somebody who's in on a company and they're like, yo, we're about to make a big deal, it's going to be worth a lot of money, so go ahead and invest. Then you get knocked, and that's what happened with Congress. Remember that we spoke about this not too long ago. But
I just
Congress
feel like
sold all their stocks right before they knew the crash was coming.
Yeah. I feel like there's so much more opportunity for, and like I don't even like get involved with the stock market or know anything about that, but like I feel like it's just like some uppity shit that like is just a whole nother world that like, I mean, to your point, everyone in the business world at the top level is connected in some way. They all know each other. They're all doing shit together, you know, trying to, you know, get more profitable or whatever. So there's so much more opportunity for insider trading and shit to go on that like people at the top stay wealthy. Whereas, you know, you go to a casino at the end of the day, like you still got to get blackjack. You still got to like put your, you know,
yeah. So in some ways, the casino
dice.
Is more pure.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And it's like, there's not that much. I mean, like, yeah, there's not that much regulation on Wall Street and like all these things to like.
It's non-existent, Core. It's non-existent.
Which is crazy to me because it's such a big part of like our economy, and there's no regulations around it, and
those are the people who own the politicians too.
And that's why it's like I don't think anything ever like it's gonna be a while before anything ever changes in politics. Like the what's her name again from St. Louis? Cory Bush. That's like like a penny in like the monetary system or whatever. Like it's just like this drop in the bucket. Like it's great that she won, but it's gonna take so long before we ever see anything on such a larger scale like make any difference in our political system. Like we're so fucked for so long.
Well, especially because even when we have good stuff happening, it is just so easy to undermine it. Yeah. I've seen that so many times, and this is what's happening with the guy Alex Morse. I think that's his name. I could be botching his name, but anyway, there's this guy who's a lefty, and he's a gay dude, and he's running against like the worst corporate Democrat, and then there were these BS accusations against him of like sexual inappropriateness or whatever. All it was is he was using dating apps and dating other consenting adults. But the scandal was that he was once a lecturer at a university, and the people he was dating were students, but they weren't his students, and they were all of age. Mm-hmm. So in other words, it's consenting adults going on dates. Yeah. And they tried to say like, no, that's not appropriate because they're students. And it's like, but he wasn't their teacher. But they're like, no, that's inappropriate. And it's like, this is how easy it is. And then what happened was some of the groups like Justice Democrats and
They like
and
disassociate with him.
Sunshine Movement, they Sunrise Movement, excuse me. They didn't totally back away from him, but they did a little bit. And it was like even the little bit made me just feel anger because it's like, come on, man. Why can we never, for whatever reason, people on the left, when it comes to claims of like victimhood and stuff, nobody's cool with just calling bullshit, with just being like, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. I think this is total bullshit. Nobody's cool with doing that anymore. And you always have to, go out there and be like, well, we have to make sure we respect the feelings and people and, what they were feeling in that instance. And it's like, if you're never just going to call bullshit when there's bullshit, you're going to get destroyed every single time. Because all any Republican has to do and all any corporate Democrat has to do is just bring up some sort of BS accusation. And then immediately you fold or you semi-fold and you're basically handing the election over to your opponents. And it's like a left-wing movement that doesn't understand that we actually got to come together and we actually got to say fuck off to people who are trying to derail us. We're hopeless without that. And unfortunately, it's just so easy to undermine left-wing movements by using our ideas against us. And one of the ideas is like, oh, we have to be willing to listen to victims and we need to make sure we're good people and we denounce bad things. And it's like they're going to use that against you all the time. And
when it happens to someone that they don't want it to happen to, like Joe Biden, they just use that argument of like, no, that's not a credible source or something like that.
Okay, but now here's the difference. That's the liberals. That's like the Democrats who do that. I'm talking about the actual left, like the good people. Joe Biden's not good. But his people, like the liberals, the Democrats, they know to just brush it off and be like, fuck off. But the actual left,
like Bernie supporters and shit like that?
Exactly. They'll shoot each other. They'll immediately. DSA immediately denounced this guy when there were the accusations. But the accusations weren't even like accusations.
That's bad. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, but this is what they do. This is what the left does. Like, I just want everybody to know how virtuous I am. So I want you to know that I'm against sexual assault, all right? Okay, we're all against sexual assault. What does that have to do with what happened in this guy's case? Nothing at all. Yeah. You just want to take the moment to like grandstand and moralize and act like, just so everybody knows, we're better than that. We're above that. And it's like they're going to do this to every single one of your candidates, you absolute buffoons. And they're going to do it because they know it's going to work. It's so easy to undermine the left.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing that the right does well is like they get behind their people
they
no
tell
matter
everybody
what.
To fuck off. Exactly. Yeah. There was that guy, Republican. His name is Scott Desjardins. He ran on family values. I think he's from Tennessee. He ran on family values, being like super Christian. This guy had an affair, knocked up his mistress, forced his mistress to get an abortion. Homeboy got reelected. Homeboy got reelected. Because you know what? What those people say? They say, oh, wait, is he going to be a vote in favor of the things I want? He is? Okay, I don't care about those stuff. Like, who cares? Whatever happens, happens. It is what it is. But, like, obviously I'm going to vote for him. That's how they think. On the left, somebody whispers about, in 1992, this person said something that was slightly off color and offended me at a bar.
And it's
canceled, gone, out of here, you're done, sick of it.
And they're like nowhere to even be found forever again. Like the one guy from SNL from Minnesota, who was on the plane, Senator.
Oh, Al Franken.
Al Franken, like he was. I mean, I don't know if I think he was good, right? And then it's just like that whole shit went down.
Was pretty flimsy.
Yeah, and it's just like, but like he's never seen again. It's like he's not even like
gone.
It's like it's sad that like that's the level that it gets to with even like Bernie supporters who you would tend to think would keep it more real and be like, hold on, what's the story? Oh, they were all of age. He wasn't teaching them. Nah, that's not.
I mean, you see the good. Like there are good people who do respond like that. Like Glenn Greenwald was like going to bat for this guy on Twitter.
But didn't that guy go after Buttigieg trying to say some shit that he was like grooming his husband or something like that because he had more power over him?
Well, yeah, like but he was saying that facetiously.
Oh,
he
was
like,
okay.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to say like this is seriously a problem. He was trying to say like if we're going to talk about power, that's the big one, Cor, is people say power dynamics. and how that's a problem. And it's
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
well,
Molly was talking about that in the HR world of things.
yes, but what people do is they start stretching that to absurd places.
Mhm.
So in the example that Molly and I were talking about, there is a real power dynamic problem. There's a real power dynamic problem because it's directly your boss.
Mm-hmm.
And so like there's coercion there. There's a power imbalance, and then you also have a situation where maybe you're playing favorites because this is somebody who like you're sleeping with or you're dating or whatever. And then maybe this other person who deserved the promotion didn't get the promotion because you're trying to get your D wet, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like that's a real problem.
Or P word. What adventure?
Oh my God, the bench fear thing. We could talk about that in a second if you want. But
wet ass or wet
wet ass P word.
What a clown.
What was I saying? Oh, the power.
The power. Yeah.
Balance. Yeah. But what people when you get to the point where you say, okay, we got somebody in their early 20s over here, right? And we got a 30-year-old over here. They're dating. This person happens to be a lecturer at a school. This person is a student at the school, but he's not a student of this guy. I look at that and I say, that's totally fine. They don't know each other. They never met each other. There's no actual power relationship there. By the way, this guy who was a mayor from a young age, this guy Alex Morse, when he would meet people, he wouldn't even tell them like, oh, I'm a mayor or I'm this or I'm that. So it's almost like he went out of his way to get rid of any kind of, he didn't want to intimidate them by letting them know like I'm a mayor or whatever.
Yeah.
So he went out of his way to be good on the power imbalance front, but they still trotted it out and acted like there was a power imbalance or whatever. And what was happening was you could have an experience with somebody where it's totally consensual, and then a week later the person decides like, I don't know if I enjoyed it, and so now I'm going to say that's not it's like, no, that's not the way this works. Either there's consent or there's not consent. You can't do the thing where like way after and then say, I learned he was a mayor and that hurt my feeling. What are you talking about? So what happens is people are now stretching stuff, Core, to absurd places and then pretending like that example is the exact same as the one me and Molly were talking about. And it's just not. Like, that's not the same thing. It's not even close to the same thing. And what you're doing is you're taking the venom and the bite and the sharpness out of real instances of sexual assault and sexual harassment and all this stuff.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I think it leads like knowing someone's position of power could, like, I guess, change the dynamic of a relationship or something. And there was this show, Millionaire Matchmaker, I watched with, and I love that shit. Her name was like Patty Stranger. She was like the matchmaker. And there was a football player who had like went on a date with this girl, and he had like this crazy past with like ex-wives and children and all this stuff. And like he had just gone on the date with her and everything was fine. And then they had a great date. And then they had like a second date, and she came back and was like, oh, I Googled you and I found out all this information about your previous ex-wife and, you know, your kids and this and that. And like, then shit like went off the rails a little bit. And then she almost was like saying like the first date was a little weird that he did this. So like it changes the dynamic of the relationship once you know something about someone. So like, I don't know, it could get weird if you find out someone's like a professor at the same school as you, and it just makes things, I don't know, it makes things awkward. I mean, it doesn't make it not right.
Yeah, but okay, then don't see the person anymore. Don't go to a media outlet or whatever and act like now I was uncomfortable with this, so now it was inappropriate.
Yeah.
It wasn't inappropriate. No, it wasn't inappropriate. Now you're just uncomfortable with it, so move on. You can't act like that's, you know, him doing some sort of sexual assault or sexual harassment or whatever. That's just not true.
Yeah.
And again, the power imbalance thing, this is what people don't want to acknowledge, that there are so many instances of gray areas, and there are instances of like just piss off their consenting adults and it's not a power imbalance. You know what I mean? So like you could make an argument that there are some people who are so famous that anybody who they meet, they have a massive power imbalance with, or so wealthy that whoever they meet, they have a massive power imbalance with. So what about those people? Should they never be able to have sex or date anybody? Just because, hey, sorry, you're really powerful, so you can't date anybody because it's coercive by definition.
Yeah.
Because you know what I'm saying? Like, this is how absurd it gets. This is how absurd it gets.
I think, yeah, you're right. I think things just like look weird on the optics, but at the end of the day, like it's still like people get upset when like Anna Nicole Smith is dating like some super old guy. But at the end of the day, like she's old enough to make a decision that like for whatever reason she's with him. It's weird to see that, but it's still fine if they're both like okay with the situation. But she can't come out after the fact and be like, oh, I was like,
I was coerced.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can't do that. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense that you can't do it.
I feel like people know that shit, but they just want to like, it's in people's nature to just like pull somebody down who's like either successful or like on the rise. Like we're just not by nature like supportive, positive people. And that's why it's like, I put that thing out about my grandmother, and it was so awesome to see that like pretty much everything was positive, and it's just like gives you a little bit of hope, and like that there's still some people out there that are just good, because it's hard to see just the negative side of things, and that's I mean, I think we've said it before. It's easy to be negative and to keep the system down. System's against me.
To be honest, I think that I guess I have a slightly rosier view than you do about it, because I feel like human beings have the capacity for both at all times. So like there are really good people out there and there are really bad people out there. And there's also like most of us are both good and bad. And it's like you can see either side can come out at any time. So like you saw the good in people because you went through something that was traumatic and upsetting. And then a bunch of people reached out and gave you support and let you, just to let you know, like, hey, man, I'm thinking about you. I know it sucks and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So you saw the good side of people come out at that moment. But, the bad side can come out quickly, too. So people have the capacity for both. And it's nice to try to make it so that we see more of the good and less of the bad. And we ourselves should commit to try to bring about more of the good and less of the bad.
I just don't know what triggers that. Like when there was the whole like Steve Bartman thing that happened so far back when he was the Cubs fan. Like everyone was in such a good mood at that Cubs game. The Cubs are winning, and then he interferes with the ball, and literally the whole stadium wanted to like kill the guy. And like he's like walking out, getting shit thrown at him, and he could never be seen in Chicago again. Like people by nature just became like it was just mob mentality to like just like go after the dude.
But the people who supported you, that was also by nature. That was also like, oh, I see somebody who I like who's going through something, let me help.
But
so
why
it's both.
Yeah.
Both of those instincts are there in people. That's why arguments from human nature are not really all that convincing, because both things could be in our nature. You could see the most amazing act of kindness. If somebody's stranded on the side of the road and they need help, and somebody just pulls up and helps them. Like that's an amazing act of kindness. They take 30 minutes of their day to help them change the tire or whatever. Like it's just an act of kindness. That's in human nature, but it's also
stuff more often.
What's that?
Do we not see that stuff more often because like the negative stuff riles us up more?
Yes, well, we have a bias towards only focusing on the negative because we view the positive as like that's how it should be. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if you go to your latest video on Corin's World and you read the comments, there's going to be 20 positive ones and then one negative one, and the one you're going to be thinking about and focusing on is the negative one. Yeah. Because you view the positive ones as like that's how it should be. This is what people should say. This is like what I deserve, what people deserve. These positive vibes. Like I'm putting this out there trying to be positive, and you're hoping for and expecting positive vibes back. And so if you get those positive vibes back, you think like, oh, that's what's up. Like this is how it is. But that one negative one is the one that you're gonna focus on, and you're gonna be like, wow, that's really annoying and that's really obnoxious. And so, we have that kind of bias in humanity. And listen, I'm just as guilty of it as anybody else. Go look at my show on any given day. Most of this stuff is going to be negative stuff because that's news. It's not if it's positive, it's not news. It's how it should be. Like if it's positive, it's like, great, that's wonderful. Today X amount of, hungry kids got fed. Great. But that's like, they should be getting fed. So that's not a news story. Like, everybody should be getting fed.
Yeah, it's a good ass point. And I mean, I said this to you. I was like, I mean, I think there's just people that go around writing like negative comments and stuff like that. And it's not like they're also going around putting positive comments out there. Like, there's just people, to your point, by nature, who are negative people, but then a majority will be positive people. Like,
and then there's some people who will put some negative comments and some positive comments. Like, there's, the person who's putting that venom on certain channels, there's other channels that they like and they're posting positive stuff. Like, this is just, yeah, there's plenty of people like that. I hate this, but I love this. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how the world is, man.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was talking to Molly about this with Yelp. Like, she was like, all you see on Yelp is just mainly bad reviews and like low stars and shit like that. And she was like, because normally, I guess when people are only going to go onto Yelp to write a bad review. It's very rare that someone's going to go on there and be like, I had the best experience. Yeah, like,
only if it was like the best thing they ever had, ever, where they felt like they had to share it with the world. But that's rare.
But I guess to your point, they expect the food to be good because it's some restaurant that someone invested in and they spent time advertising and shit. So it's like, all right, it should have been like that. Yeah. But I had a bad experience, so now fuck them and I'm going to go write this bad review.
Exactly. The people who are going to take the time, most of the time, to go write something, or people who were like, I had a bad experience. And then, oftentimes, I haven't really read Yelp reviews, so I can't comment on it. But I bet a lot of it they talk about like the service, like I can't stand people who treat waiters and waitresses like in a messed up way, because they don't want to be there. It is a job that they took because they are trying to pay the bills. So treat them nicely, treat them with respect. Believe me, the food is getting to you as fast as possible.
There's some waiters and waitresses that come with like a shitty ass attitude that like, it's
but
like, hey, I didn't tell you to be here.
You know what, Cor? I would have a shitty attitude too if I had to serve people food all day.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you applied for that job. You're there as the server. So throw a smile on your fucking face.
Like, you don't have to smile. You don't have to smile. You don't have to BS with me. You just ask me what I want. I'll tell you what I want. Bring it to the table. We're good money. That's it. I got you on a 20 or 25% tip.
You're nice. Yeah, you're genuinely nice about that. I mean, I'll always tip too. But I know some people that like, if the service wasn't good, they'll
I'll lower it. Yeah, people do that. I never do that. I just keep it 20, 25% and then just keep it moving. But I mean, honestly, we shouldn't even have tip jobs anymore. Like, everything should be, like, you should get a living wage no matter what you do.
100. Yeah. Bernie brought something to the table that was just like the same way they sent us the $1,200 checks, they should send everybody like a mask to their mail too. And I was like, yo, that's kind of genius. Like, why does
universal masks? That's right. Mm-hmm.
That's like, that is a no-brainer to me. Like, every mailbox should have a mask.
And isn't it amazing? Every single like really good idea, it's not going anywhere.
I know.
Like, you come up with a good idea as a politician, and they're just like, sorry, it's just not like, and it's not even like there's a moment where it's like, oh, it's slapped down. It's just like, we're not even gonna talk about it. Like, it's just, forget it because it's positive.
So
it's like
fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's like with the universal basic income thing. Andrew Yang, who was the guy who, brought universal basic income like on the map in the political discourse in America, he was snubbed from talking at the Democratic National Convention, but they're allowing a Republican, John Kasich, to talk, which says everything about the Democratic Party. The guy who's like a Republican and who's like a deficit hawk, he gets to speak, but the guy who's for universal basic income doesn't get to speak. And by the way, we have a pandemic where universal basic income has proven like that's the thing that we actually need right now. And they're not letting him speak.
Yeah. I saw, is it the guy Perez is still like, is he the one who makes the call on who speaks?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. I would guess either Tom Perez or maybe Joe Biden and his campaign people. Like, they get to make the final determination, I would guess.
And they're still going through with the convention that's going to be in Milwaukee still, or are they going to do some virtual?
It's probably going to be some virtual stuff, I would guess, but I'm not 100% sure.
It's going to be so weird with the election, man. Like, it's just going to be such a shit show. Like,
no matter what, we're going to be miserable. If it's Trump and Pence, we're going to be miserable. If it's Biden and Kamala, we're going to be miserable. Maybe there's slightly lesser degrees of miserable, but it's going to be so obnoxious. Like, let's say hypothetically, Biden and Kamala win. You think I want to like go to bat for them and defend them for 4 years? Is that what I want to do? I want to defend a guy who can't talk, and I want to defend somebody who's like happy to lock up the parents of kids who miss school. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to defend these people. It's just I'm not going to do that. Like, I will be just relentlessly going after everybody.
Either one.
Whoever wins, I'm going after everybody. It's guns blazing for the next 4 years, no matter what. Like, I got whatever little patience I had before, and now it's just non-existent. It's just not there.
I just think the whole, like, there's gonna be so many polls closed, like the whole mail and shit. Like, is the postal service down now? Is it going? Like, I don't even know what's happening with anything
Trump
anymore.
Did something.
Everything's like in limbo.
I don't know the specifics, but he's trying to kill the post office.
Yeah, and then like I asked Molly about the TikTok thing, and she was like, "It has 40 days before it shuts down." Like, it seems like everything's shut down without actually being shut down. It's like people are still going to their jobs, but not doing shit anymore. And that's how the world's rotating right now. It's just people are going to their job, but they're not responding to anything. Like, the only motherfuckers that are still, like, I still see my mailman coming and putting mail in my shit, but I've mailed letters and I've sent packages that haven't arrived yet. Like, what the fuck's going on? Why is it
How long ago?
Yet? I sent some shit like literally like a week and a half ago. It was like a letter and it hasn't arrived yet. And then I try to send something to Canada, basketball to Canada, and it's getting returned back here. Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, is our postal service still working?
I wonder if Canada has some sort of rules, because I don't think they're letting Americans in because of COVID. So maybe they're not even allowing the mail in.
Maybe. I got one contact at UPS and I hit her up like 3 times. I'm like, yo, it's good. Like, is this shit going to get through? And she hasn't hit me back.
Wait, it was UPS or USPS?
UPS for the box, but then I sent USPS and the letter still hasn't gotten there.
Oh, okay. I don't know, man. Nothing works anymore. Nothing functions anymore. Like, I'm telling you, it's going to get scary, bro, because people, like, the $600 a week extra unemployment expired, and like Trump is trying to do like, hey, maybe I'll try to give you $300 with FEMA money, and like we're going to see a mass eviction crisis. Like, I already covered a story the other day of this woman with COVID in Memphis was evicted, like, as she had COVID. And it's like, oh my God, imagine this, but multiply it times millions. Because there was one CNBC article that said 28 million people could be homeless. Wow. Even if it's, let's say for argument's sake, it's half that. Half that. Like what? 13, 14 million people, something like that? I can't do math. But like,
no, I can't do it either.
Something like that, 13, 14 million people. Like, are you kidding me? We're going to, because right now it's like 600,000 to maybe 1 million tops homeless people. But like, we're going to have 28 million people, or 13, 14, 15 million. That's a crisis that literally we haven't seen since like the Great Depression.
And we're doing nothing to like
Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell and Trump, they're just like, they're throwing back and forth horrendous ideas that are half measures on top of half measures.
Yeah, like, what do they do every day? Like, when I go to work, I got to grind for like 8 hours. Like, are they like, what do they? By the way,
I just pictured you grinding on like some dude giving him a lap dance. I got to grind on the guy. He's, he's sitting there. He's hard. What am I going to do?
Yeah, I'm just confused at what they do in Washington, because everything always is like, we're going to take a hard look at this. But at the end of the day, like, nothing ever gets.
Well, it's never the things that would help people. Like, what do people need in a pandemic? Number one is like healthcare. Well, under Trump, 30 million people have lost their healthcare. So like, okay, mission failed right off the bat. But like, everybody needs to have healthcare, so we need to do Medicare for all. And the other thing is, people need money to pay the bills, so you would have to do like a UBI. We're not doing UBI. We're not doing Medicare for all. And we didn't do the things that we had to do early on. Like, there were a bunch of countries did wage replacement stuff to make sure that people were furloughed and not fired during the pandemic.
Mhm.
We didn't do that. We didn't do that kind of stuff. So people are just kind of on their own now, and a lot of people are getting fired, and people who are keeping their jobs are taking pay cuts. Like, everything's just a mess.
What's there was a guy talking to a blonde correspondent from CBS talking about like $400 and then $800. Did you see this? And she kept like trying to clarify what the payout, like, are they doing more, like, are they giving more money? And he just couldn't explain what they were doing.
Well, okay, so here, first of all, there's a open question as to whether or not they can do it without Congress. Like, Congress would have to pass more money to people because Congress has what's called the power of the purse, which means they get to determine where the money's spent. Right?
So they approved the first stimulus bill.
So, yes, but that's
done and
gone.
over. Yeah,
that's gone. So they stalled and they haven't had a deal yet for another round of stimulus. So Trump stepped in and said, I'm going to sign an executive order that I'm going to use FEMA money, emergency money, and pay $300 for another 5 weeks to people as an unemployment benefit. And then they tried to say like, oh, it's like 400 or 800 or whatever. But no, because they were saying like, oh, the states have to match a certain amount of the money. So, maybe you'll get an extra 100 from the state or whatever. But the states are out of money. They don't have any money now because they've, spent it all on for COVID stuff. And a lot of these states have balanced budget rules where you have to balance the budget every year. So like they don't have the funds. Like the federal government
just said some shit without even checking like anything. It's just like, go ask your dad for $5, and it's just like, I don't have $5.
Exactly. So that's basically what Trump did.
And it's so grimy.
So now that's why, you hear there's a lot of confusion over exactly how much money is it and all that stuff. And by the way, this is all just the unemployment. This is not another stimulus check because they would need to approve another stimulus check and they haven't. And I don't think they will. And if they do, it'll be too little too late anyway. So it's a mess, Core. It really is. Like, it's a really scary time.
Yeah. It's weird. So that's for unemployment. So I mean, like, so you get unemployment, but then you get an additional $300.
No, that's just for unemployment. The people who are getting the $600 unemployment, it's now that's gone, and Trump's trying to step in, and I think it was 400 was the number, but that extra 100 was from the state, so it's actually 300 in FEMA money. So it's all a patchwork of BS trying to like slap it together and give people a little bit.
Like, but they don't even know at the top what's happening. Imagine just an employee in like an unemployment, like in the unemployment office. Like,
forget it. There are people. I covered the story a while ago. I think it was in Kentucky. The lines it was Kentucky or West Virginia. It was somewhere like that. The lines for the unemployment office, it was like insane. Like the line went blocks. It was like 8 blocks of people, like 4 deep in a row for 8 blocks.
And just imagine trying to give somebody an answer to like one of their questions, like, and having no understanding of what you're even doing. Like,
and by the way, we have all the money in the world
to
keep bombing Afghanistan and Iraq, billions of dollars every month to keep these stupid wars going. All the money in the world when we were bailing out Wall Street and bailing out the corporations when the pandemic hit. Like, oh, here, just take it. $5 trillion. The Fed, the central bank, was pumping $1 trillion a day into the market to prop it up. But when people need money to pay the bills, go stand on that line in Kentucky that lasts forever, and you'll probably won't even get the money after you stand on that line. And, they won't just cut a check like UBI, like give everybody cards in the mail. They could do that. They could just mail everybody cards. Here's $2,000 that you're going to get every month for the rest of the pandemic, just to ease the pain a little bit here. But nope, they're not doing that.
Yeah, I'll give a lot of credit to the people that show up at that job, knowing your line's going to be like 40 blocks deep, and you got to answer questions. That's a tough motherfucking job.
Because it's really crazy how broken everything is.
Yeah.
Usually Kyle and Corin, we're laughing, we're having fun. Today we're just like, everything's screwed.
Well, it's depressing, man, because it's like, it just makes you see also, because wasn't there like an article 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago that already put in there that Biden was going to pick Kamala Harris as like his VP?
See, now this is the one silver lining in the whole story is that I was right. Because I covered the story. Politico ran an article that said Joe Biden has picked Kamala Harris, and my argument to people was like, Occam's razor on this is that he picked
Whose
her.
razor?
Occam's razor is this thing that means the simplest explanation is probably correct.
Oh, damn.
And so my argument,
I just know like fucking Gillette razors.
my argument was that the simplest explanation is that Biden did pick Kamala, and he told the media organizations, but he said, don't release it until this date. And they accidentally ran it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought Occam's razor was. So I covered it, and I said, it's probably going to be Kamala. And I was right. Now, I wish I was wrong, because it wouldn't be Kamala if I was wrong, but I was right. So, yeah, they did kind of accidentally let it out a little while ago, but then they tried to cover it up and act like, no, that's not true. And then they pushed back the announcement date, probably trying to throw people off of the mess up. But no, it's her. So
it just goes to show how hand in hand, like, they go, you know, like all those CNN, MSNBC, like all of those networks just goes to show how in the pocket of like a politician they are, that they get this information beforehand.
Bro, let me tell you something. When they announced that it was Kamala, it was like within an hour, I had seen like 5 pro-Kamala op-eds in all these different outlets. And I was just like sick to my stomach. I was like, you guys wrote this beforehand and just released it to time it with the news. And it's just so gross. They're just doing propaganda for the corporate Democrats. That's all 100%. It is. That's it. Let me tell you why Kamala's awesome. She's amazing. It's like
they have the articles written already. It's just like put a headline on it. Yeah. You saw that with the primaries. Like they had the top question they asked was something that happened 10 minutes prior to the debate. You know, like shit like that is almost like you give a presentation, you've got the shit set in stone. You know what your first question is going to be. How can like a news conglomerate react that fast that your first question is something that happened literally like 5 minutes before you went on air, that you were prepared at like producers, the person, the narrator, whoever's like running the event is all in alignment to ask this question, something that just happened.
That happened with Mayor Pete. Remember during the Iowa debacle?
Yes.
Where that happened where the Democratic Party of Iowa announced right before the debate, oh, Mayor Pete won. And then the first question was Mayor Pete, how do you feel about winning?
Yes.
And I was watching it like, that's, first of all, it's not even true because they didn't even finish counting, but they just timed it so that they could ask this question to give him a bump.
Yep. And that's what's sad, and that's what people don't. I mean, people see that, but again, it's just like people are so blind to it. Like I'm so tired of like people so happy and like of Kamala Harris and like are just like the best pick ever. She's great.
Just wait for the next 4 years where any criticism of her is racist, even if it's from the left. Even if it's from the left, that's racist. You're being racist for disagreeing with a black woman. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun. So
I mean, like the View's gonna have a field day with this. They're gonna love the pick. They're gonna, have her on. She'll dance, and
I hate that they make me feel like I'm a conservative, even though I'm not. Like when I look at Hollywood and when I look at some of these TV shows, and I just like I'm like I hate you guys just as much as I hate the Republicans.
I know. They do it to themselves, and that's why it's just like
because they don't care about like regular people. They really don't.
I know.
They just care about the culture war and like being like we're on the right side of history and like we're gonna they want it's more about actually just getting the Democrats in office, and then that's a win for them. Doesn't matter what the Democrats do, as long as the Democrat is in office, that's it. That's a win because it's not the Republican. That's how they think. So if a Democrat does Republican stuff, they'll just start defending it because it's more about the Democrats winning.
So it's just like tone deaf to like everything they're being told and what people are saying. They just don't want to hear it.
And what drives me crazy, man, is we know what all the answers are, and they're just not going to be pursued. Medicare for all, free college, living wage, end the wars, UBI, Green New Deal. legalize marijuana. Like all these things are just now gone. They're not. We're not getting them under a Biden Kamala administration.
That's why I say nothing's ever going to change. Like it's great that like these little progressives win, and it's amazing that they win.
See, I slightly disagree with you. I largely agree with you, but I also slightly disagree with you because, like, take legal weed, for example. There's a bunch of states now where it's legal. So, like, we're kind of, regardless of the fact that nobody who's in politics, who's really in power, is on our side and helping us, regardless of that fact, we're still kind of like clawing our way in the right direction as hard as we possibly can.
It's just that we're not going to be here to see it, man. Like your first video of Corey Rice or whatever.
Legal weed, we will be. Legal weed, we will be. I'm calling that right now. Legal weed, we will be here for, but it's not happening within the next 4 or 8 years. If Biden, well, if Trump wins, obviously it's not happening. And if Biden wins, it's not happening.
I know that, and that still benefits people, but not as important as Medicare for all, like
that's harder. That's going to be harder. That's definitely going to be harder
because legalizing marijuana, like I'm sure they can envision some type of plan where corporations are making money off of it. Like
that's exactly right.
Where they can't wrap their head around how to get rid of the healthcare system and break up, big banks and all this shit. Like that stuff is a lot harder.
That's so true, and that's why, Corin, there's this defaulting to let's keep giving the corporations whatever they want, but we have to try to make it look like we're really on the left and down for the struggle. So what do? Just go all in on identity stuff. All in on. That's why you see CEOs of corporations taking a knee and are like, Black Lives Matter. It's like, you're only saying that because you want to be able to continue robbing people and making billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And keeping the status quo and business as usual functioning,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're fucked either way, and hopefully our kids and kids will reap the benefits of it. But yeah, I was gonna say like that first video you put up of her, was like 3 years ago or something. And it's just like today is her getting elected. So that took 3 years of like, she was on your radar. You knew about it back then, but it took 3 years for her to actually win.
For Cori Bush to win.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, Rome wasn't built in a day. That's the old saying. And so that means that we just have to fight, work harder, and just
our Earth is not even going to be here by the time we're trying to get Rome built. Like that shit is going to be a rap skis like a motherfucker.
And that's why people are losing their patience. Is because of that reason. It's like there are some of these things that just can't wait. And we keep being told, like, you got to wait. And it's like, but we literally can't. Like, people can't. People can't pay the bills. 30 million people, no health care.
That's why I almost give people some props when they're so optimistic of like a Kamala Harris or something, because it's just like, all right, if that's what gets you through your day and just being overexcited.
That's literally no different than like being a fundamentalist Christian.
Yeah.
Like, it's just as delusional. Like, you're in a cult at that point.
You're right.
Because it's not actually about what they're doing. It's about you just think that this is the win. The win is that Kamala was picked. And then the win is that they might get in the White House. You don't even care about what they do. Those people do not care about what they do.
100%.
Yeah. All right. On that note, you got anything else for these lovely people before we wrap it up?
I wanted to say one thing about conspiracies around Dr. Pepper. There's a whole news now that they're like have a shortage of shit. Don't believe that shit. I think they're doing it just so they can try and sell more Dr. Pepper. I mean, you can find that shit in stores.
A Dr. Pepper shortage would be a little bit disastrous because I love Dr. Pepper.
That's what they said. They said there's a big shortage on Dr. Pepper right now. Even Dr. Pepper came out and said that there's a shortage on Dr. Pepper. But I went to the gas station because I wanted a Diet Coke, but I saw Dr. Pepper there, and I was like, fuck Dr. Pepper, because they're trying to say that their shit is almost sold out, so people go and try and find it.
And then you bought it.
And I bought the shit. They got me. Like, mission accomplished, but that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make their shit exclusive, so like people are like, "Oh shit, I see it."
But
they said it's not supposed to be there, and they're buying it.
That is sort of a low-key genius idea. I sort of like it.
It is. It's smart, and they're gonna sell.
Actually, every company does that now, and does the Boy Who Cried Wolf with like, "We're running out of these."
Yeah.
Because that's what happened. Remember when Twinkies like temporarily went out of business? And I was like, they might not come back. And so I went out and bought mad Twinkies. And then like a week later, they were like, this company has bought the rights to make Twinkies. And I was like, oh, see, I would have never bought Twinkies if I knew that like I could always have the option of buying them. I would have never bought them. But the fact that they were, I thought for a minute they might go away forever. I was like, oh, I got to buy that.
Once you hear that, like it's that like you can't have something. So, and you see it. So you stock up on it. And then you realize that they fucking make a billion more of them and you're stuck with 40 Tamagotchis. I love those things. When you look back, it's so stupid. It's just training you to be like an adult. It's like, here, change the Tamagotchi's diaper. Feed the Tamagotchi. Like, I would have a field day with a Tamagotchi right now, just sitting and like, there was like just 4 little buttons on the bottom.
It was the dumbest thing. Literally just a virtual like pet. That's it. That's all it was.
Yeah. I have 3 dogs now, and one of them's breath smells so fucking bad. And I got these new slippers that are mad comfy, and they've just been perfect. I only wear them in the house, and that's what they were for. No, but whenever you walk in, he'll pick up like a shoe, and it was sort of my fault. I left the slippers by the door, and his like mouth is all slobbery and shit. So he picked up one, and it's like it smells so bad now. I tried wiping it down, but it just made it worse because I wiped it with a wipe. You gotta like
Lysol it or Febreze it.
I know. I've never been that type like to like take an Axe shower or try to cover up, like try to mask some smelly shit. Because your shit is still smelly.
Throw it in the wash, maybe? You could throw it in the wash.
I know, but like it had that out of the box like smell.
But it's gone, dog. You got to do something now. You either got to Febreze it, Lysol it,
my dog, or put it in the wash. Can't do that shit ever again.
What's that?
I gotta punt my dog. I gotta fucking let that motherfucker off his leash and just run away.
You gotta save the slipper somehow, bro. You have to. Like, what are you gonna do? Gonna have the stinky ass like smell on it the whole time?
It smells so bad. Fuck him for doing that shit, man. Because he knows his breath is kicking.
He's a dog.
It's like when I wear a mask. When you wear a mask, you know your breath is kicking. Like,
yeah, you know immediately.
Like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's a little fucked up because sometimes I'll brush my teeth to a T. I'll do 30 seconds each section, and then I'll put my mask on, or like I'll drink some orange juice or something, and your breath you could still smell your breath stinking. Or Molly will be like, "Your breath stinks. Did you brush your teeth?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did." Like, it's not fair sometimes.
Dog, it's about food. It's about what you eat. You got to eat something and then brush your teeth.
But even when I do that, sometimes like brushing.
That's crazy. Because for me, if I just eat something, my breath is fine. Like, even if I eat something and don't brush my teeth, my breath is fine. But if I eat something and brush my teeth, there's no way my breath is going to be kicking.
I think brushing your teeth is like either sometimes you like there's a person with some stank ass breath and there's a person without stink. Like, you look like a person that wouldn't have some smelly ass breath, whereas someone would probably be like, Corin probably has some smelly ass breath. Even though I brush my teeth in the morning and night, and sometimes I'll even midday brush my shit. Like if I got something stuck in my teeth. But I think just me, like I'll look at Molly and I'll be like, her breath wouldn't smell at any point. Even if she ate some pile of dog shit, like her breath just wouldn't smell. There's just some people that just their breath doesn't smell. And it's not fair because I hate when she'll be like, "Did you brush your teeth this morning?" And I'm like, "Yes, I actually did." And like, I did it for like whatever the required amount of time is, 2 minutes, and I used the like Crest minty.
Bro,
like,
do you use Listerine? Do you use Listerine?
No.
If you do, that will cure your problem because Listerine is powerful, bro. Like, it overwhelms you with mintiness.
What? There's got to be some poison. Like, that's got to be some like. That taste in your mouth has to be some poisonous shit.
Nah, not at all. It's refreshing. No, see, sometimes I have Listerine and it's to get almost like I like the burn of it. I'm like, I'm like fighting it, and then when I spit it out, I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, that sounded so gross. But
no, but it's like a battle. Like Listerine is a tough battle.
Yeah, but I fuck with it. I fuck with that battle. I like that battle because then when it's over and you do the thing with your mouth where you're like. You could taste the freshness. You're like, this is fresh breath, bro.
But battling Listerine is like that shit burns. That and like if the more stanky your breath is, the more that shit burns.
Yep. So you got to fight.
It takes a while probably to like get to the point. It's like I've been running a mile every day, and now I'm sort of getting to a point where the mile is getting easier, but it's been like 15 days. So for 15 days, I'm going to have to go through some burning
struggle. Yep.
I don't want to do that.
It's part of the deal, bro.
I just want my breath to, like, there shouldn't be a step 2 to brushing your teeth. Like step 1 is, oh, I've been told to brush my teeth with this shit that makes your teeth and breath smell good. Now don't tell me like part 1A is you got to use some other shit to like part A should have just took care of it.
I hear you, man, but that's just life. It is what it is. But seriously, if you get the Listerine, that'll help. If you care enough. If you don't, it's whatever. Then don't get the Listerine.
Just the regular like greenish blue shit.
The blue one is the one that's where it's at. It's the blue shit.
Oh, I used to. Yeah, I would use like the white bottle was like the whitening one.
Yeah, not that. No. You need the blue one. The OG Cool Mint Listerine. And you can't replace it. You can't have like Scope. Scope ain't going to do it. You can't pick like a different color of the Listerine. You got to go with the blue Cool Mint Listerine and let it fuck you up.
That is the OG shit. Because like I think they even came out with like a pink one.
Probably. And there was like a brown one too. And I was like, who ever had the brown one?
They had a brown one?
There's a brown one. But it's not like it tastes weird. I'm not sure what it tastes like. But it's like, who would get that when there's the Cool Mint one? Like, I don't understand.
You can't do the brown one. That's like some oil. But I think there'll be an article in 5-10 years on Listerine because something that potent in your mouth.
I always say this about microwaves. I'm still waiting for the day where they're like, you're going to die because you used a microwave once.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
but
when I do die,
Listerine sounds like poisonous.
Microwave?
No, the word Listerine.
Yeah, a little bit. But you know what? The pain is worth it. Anyway, all right, let's wrap it up. All right, guys, we love you. We'll talk to you soon. Everybody stay healthy out there. Much love. Peace.